Hi everyone, this is Cynthia Stine from eGrowth Partners and
Chris McCabe, ecommercechris.com.
and we have joined together today, even though we're competitors, to talk about a common interest that we have, which is helping sellers avoid flim-flam artists and people in our field, unfortunately, who are taking sellers to the cleaners, taking their money and not providing value. It's a real concern of both of ours, and so we wanted to address it.
Yes, a lot of people losing money, spending money on consultants who are giving them bad advice, who are ruining their chances, burning through appeals. We've seen it explode over the last couple of years, and even though we're competitors and we both do this seller performance reinstatement work, we're both very concerned about it, right? And we're trying to come up with some solutions. Hopefully this video will start
The discussion.
Yeah.
I mean, more importantly, just to help you guys be aware of some of the red flags. These are based on clients who have come to us after they've been working with someone else, and we've had to clean up the mess.
Yes.
So
makes our life harder, and not just is it bad for us, it's bad for sellers who have to try to reconstruct an appeal. Maybe they've already escalated it, they escalated it prematurely, that ruined their chances even more, and then it makes their life miserable.
Right.
It's hard to reconstruct.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I hear that drives me crazy, someone says, oh, well, I was, in XYZ group and someone said this, or I was on the forums and someone gave this advice, and so I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and I almost immediately just want to have a heart attack on the spot, because
assuming that case from that seller matches exactly to theirs, and that the advice will link up.
Or that it's even true.
Or that it overlaps, or that's even the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of apples and oranges, and people aren't considering the nuances, right?
That's right.
I mean, this is complicated stuff. It's not necessarily connecting dots A, B, C, D.
Exactly. Or someone says, well, I took my plan off of, I found it on somewhere on the internet, and I thought, hey, I'll just plug my stuff in. It worked for Joe, it'll work for me.
Generic content, no details, no comprehensive review. I mean, investigators know when you haven't done your homework, right? And they understand that you're just copying and pasting from somewhere else, and they throw it away immediately. It's like got no chance of success.
They see these plans over and over again, so they do know when they've been written by different people. But you know what kills me? Sometimes I will literally get one of my plans back that somebody has used for another purpose. They said, oh yeah, I found it wherever they found it, and I'm like,
it's a bizarre experience, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I wrote that.
And
I said that, but for someone else, for a totally different situation.
Yeah.
And you're using it for this, but without tailoring it to the specific cause of the suspension and the solutions you had to give to get reinstated.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just mixing and matching,
Right.
I wish it were that simple for a lot of people. They'd be able to save money.
They could take the Garanimals approach to, reinstatement, right? If it's used, sold as new, and
Yeah, I think part of the problem is there's a lot of confusion out there from good sales pitches. A good sales pitch doesn't necessarily mean a good POA, plan of action, or a good appeal.
Right.
And a good sales pitch on, we've handled hundreds of these, we've done thousands of these.
Yeah.
The numbers are inflated. We would know these people if they were established players in this industry or field. Wouldn't we know if they had thousands of successful reinstatements or 100%? What about 100% success rate?
Oh, well, that's either utter crap or they're discarding half of the cases that come to them. But remember, we met in
there's rampant drug use. Involved. So
we met in 2015, and at the time that we met, there was only a few people that were doing these at all. Right. And I can tell you exactly who they were. And so every time I see a new pop-up website that says, oh, we've been doing this for 10 years or 20 years or whatever they're selling, I'm like, no, you haven't, because you were not there when I was there in 2015 building this industry. And Chris has been doing this.
It's shortcuts. It's dangerous. Some of them are just offering dangerous shortcuts, and there might be a short-term benefit, but no one's considering the long-term impact of, hey, I can get this done, quickly and effectively, but don't ask me how I'm getting it done, right? Just hand me a certain amount of money. I can't talk to you about my process. And I know Amazon people, right? And they're very vague about who they know and who they don't know. Do they know Amazonians who are even connected to the reinstatement process? Or are they just like, well, I'm hoping you can send it to this guy. He's in business development. Maybe he knows an account manager who maybe knows somebody in seller performance, and that'll do the trick, right?
Well, I think what most sellers need to understand is that for someone at Amazon to be working with someone outside of Amazon in this way is risking their career. It's very risky for them to do that. They're certainly not going to do it for a few $100, and they're certainly going to be very cagey and careful about it. So,
I think it's a smokescreen anyway. I mean, they probably don't know.
Well,
I mean, I found out somebody was like, "Oh, I wrote to an Amazon manager or a VP," and it turned out it was somebody connected to the Kindle. Like, I found out who the guy was, and like, yeah, a Kindle executive probably doesn't care how seller performance works.
Right.
And if they really are buddies with the entire seller performance team and they can just call them up and get you reinstated, great, I guess. Is that likely? No. It's impossible.
Well, and you as
so
having
it's false promises.
been seller performance before,
right.
I mean, you guys would have had to like be shot at dawn or something if you were working with someone like that.
Yeah, and I also didn't pick up my phone and talk to random people throughout the company throughout the day because I had nothing better to do.
Right.
If I got these email addresses, sometimes I would emails from internal people. I would say, great, show us the same stuff. Mm-hmm. Show me the plan of action. It's not acceptable. Right. This and this and this has to change. I mean, you might have gotten some feedback from me if you were internal and, hey, my brother and my friend, but I couldn't just reinstate people based on nothing, based on error, or a bad appeal.
Exactly.
Well,
and I think one thing is if someone gives you a person at Amazon, like, this is my contact, go out on LinkedIn and look them up, because a lot of times you'll find that they're in some very strange places. Like, I swear they're just made up. And I'm like, there's no way that person would have any influence on seller performance.
I have a word for this. I call it spam-a-lot. Spamming as many email addresses of Amazonians as you can find. Spam-a-lot doesn't work. And with the same POA, they don't even send a different POA. It's like, oh, we wrote the POA for you if it's a consultant. We want you to send it to these 17 people who may or may not care. A bunch of them don't respond, of course.
And they're wondering why they're getting these POAs.
It's because you're spamming people, which is just agitating Amazonians, which doesn't help your situation.
Right. So, I mean, be aware of some of these, tactics, and be aware that claims of insider Amazon contacts are almost always false.
Take it with a grain of salt.
I mean, even people who really do have contacts, like Chris, and even I have some, they're not people who can flip the switch. They are just people we can talk to sometimes, get advice, get some insight.
Guidance.
Why is Amazon doing this? That kind of thing. But
anyone offering same-day reinstatement because they have a buddy, you're in hot water.
That'll
come back to haunt you, even if, by some miracle that comes to pass.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you, there was that one guy, do you remember? He was in seller performance in India, or I think it was a he, and it was a fake name and everything.
Oh, right.
But was offering reinstatements for like $100 for certain types of reinstatements. Oh, well, we turned him in, right? And I'm telling you, Amazon went on a manhunt for this guy to figure him out.
And it turned out he had never worked at Amazon, right?
Oh, no, I actually don't know where it turned out, because I can't tell you the actual conclusion of our investigation.
Right.
But I know for a fact, because when I was talking to my insider contacts, she said we worked with 7 different groups inside of Amazon to get a hold of this and to control this.
Right.
And they take it very seriously. That's why I'm like, I can't imagine that anyone is seriously using a contact at Amazon to get you reinstated.
So that's a huge pet peeve, of course. And the last one we want to talk about is everyone emailing Jeff way too soon with incomplete information, bad POA, that sort of thing.
You are blowing your best chance by sending something to Jeff prematurely. Because if you send it to him and it blows up in your face, and then you come to us and we're supposed to fix that, it's really hard. And
if you're going to escalate, do it the right way, right? In stages. Didn't get an answer within 24 hours, I have to write to Jeff,
Right.
Executive seller relations is really only supposed to review you and consider you for reinstatement once.
Right.
Possibly twice, sure.
Right.
But usually they do it a second time if there's a revised POA, if you write the escalation differently, if you handle it a different way.
Right. Or add new information. Like if they are kind enough to say, we need a little bit more on X or Y or Z. Right. But for the most part, we
cart before the horse to escalate before you have that, right? Yeah.
But right now we have about three Jeff appeals. Like we've had to escalate them up to Jeff. And I mean, they've been sitting there getting nothing, no response, nothing. And it's really frustrating to us. And I know it's because the Jeff team is oversaturated. They're getting too many of these. And so they're
drowning in extraneous contacts that have nothing to do with
Right.
true escalations. They've just been named escalations. Oh, you have to escalate it. Well, what does escalation mean? How many times do people ask you to explain what it means, or me?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's totally different from their understanding of what escalation is.
That's
so
right.
They think it's just sending an email to Jeff and asking for help.
No, I mean, that is the last resort. Because for one thing, it is your last shot.
Yeah.
But, for another, I mean, if you're bringing something to him that's totally ridiculous, you're not doing your client any favors.
No hope in hell.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, so I've started a new service where I do a half an hour consult. Send me the POA or your escalation, and I'll give you my opinion on it before you submit it. It has you don't have to hire me to rewrite one for you or anything. It's just getting me to review it, giving my opinion on whether or not it's substantial enough to succeed as a plan of action or an escalation. And you've got some stuff coming up.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was going to say is also, if you want a good source of information, do look at Chris's group, read his blog, read our blog at egrowthpartners.com. We have some very good information there that you can count on, because we've been doing this for a long time, and we actually have helped thousands of sellers get reinstated over
You're not
the course
making that
of
number
years.
up.
I am not.
Yeah.
I could print you the list, but it's something that's built over time. And I think the most important thing as a seller is to try to get really good information. And I know it's hard to tell sometimes what's good information. Everybody's out there saying that they're an expert. But I know with both Chris and myself, we have the customer testimonials. We have the people who will tell you, yes, we absolutely did that for them.
Proven track record and imagined track record are two different things.
Right.
So.
Well, and both of us focus also on prevention. So when we're working with a client to get reinstated, we're also thinking ahead of how can we make sure they don't have this happen again?
Mm-hmm.
How can we make sure that they stay compliant from now on, which is what our clients want. They want never to have to go through this again. So I also think that that's a failing of some of the services out there where all they're doing is reinstatement.
If we're responsible at our work, we would be acting in the interest of preventing all suspensions.
Yeah.
So that you wouldn't have to, in a panic, call somebody up, and hire them to take over the fate of your entire business.
Right.
That's all I had. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Thanks for joining me for this.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yep. Chris McCabe, e-commerce Chris, and Cynthia Stine, of course, eGrowth Partners. Talk to us soon.